Welcome back to Paint and Make It Happen. I'm Michael Thompson, and I'm going to guide you step by step through this painting. I've had a lot of requests to maybe slow down some of the time lapse and give you a voiceover, so here we are. Let's go ahead and get started on that. Just mixture of white and some of the primary blue, and used very little of the blue whenever I mixed it. You can see how bright it is. If you go too strong, the painting will be just a little darker than you want. And the little spot that I just added was just some of the magenta into the paint. The paints that I'm using are water mixable paints today. And now, don't be alarmed. You can use any paint that you want. Like if you want to use just traditional oil paints that thin with paint thinner, then that's the only difference. This thins with water and makes it a little easier sometimes. If you have an allergy or something to paint thinner, some people prefer these. I was just experimenting, trying them. I like to mix it up on occasion, so that's what happened here. And you can see I dipped into the water there, and see if we can clean just a little bit of that off with a paper towel. But it's good to be back. Good to be here with you is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Today's painting is by the pond. Just a little picture that I have worked on. Kind of worked it out. And if you'd like to maybe see some live paintings on YouTube or broadcast, let me know. Drop me a line and let me know. And I'll see if I can make them happen also. Painting is a passion to me. I feel like either you're a painter or you're not. But if you're not, just sit back and enjoy what's going on. I think it's very entertaining to watch someone paint. I know we all like to watch TV and see people on TV paint and things like that. Even if we're not painters, it's still fun. All right, I'm just kind of removing some of the hairs. For some reason, my paintbrush is losing hair, and that's how you can remove them without getting your fingers into the painting. Just push them in there. Just kind of grab the corner and flip them off. What I'm trying to say. A little bit more magenta, and pull another hair off there. But the brush is natural bristle. It's like a China bristle. It's a stiff bristle brush. It's not a real soft bristle or anything. So it's probably about a number 3 or 4, I think. I'm not sure on that, but either. So it softens those up too. And it just gives a nice, beautiful little effect. So, I mean, you can set and mix them on the palette, but hey, just do it on the canvas. Makes things go easy. I also want to mention that I have a separate website where I have where I put lots of hours in paintings, a lot of fine art that I do, and it's called mthompsonstudio.com. So if you get a chance, go visit there. I have prints, I have original paintings for sale. These are some I've done in commission work, things like that, and or that I've just actually had some real inspiration to do and to spend hours into, and some of them I've painted years ago, and I went back and added many hours into it. So what I'm doing here is I've made a dark mixture with that brown and some of the blue, and it kind of gives it like a grayish black, but depending on how much brown you use inside of it. But I'm drawing just a little building in there, just kind of freehanding it in. Now you can do this beforehand with a pencil, just whenever the picture gets finished. If you will just stop it and look at it and draw that little house out, you can draw it in before you start your painting. But sometimes I like to be a little brave there and put it out there and see what happens. Get it just a little bit spontaneous, I guess you would say. A lot of little character to that tree right there, by those little things growing way out from the tree, just saying, hey, here I am. Maybe kind of a crazy way to look at it, but I look at them all different kinds of ways. My wife says I'm half crazy sometimes. I think I agree with her. Okay. Notice I'm just adding lots of that green, but I'm toning it, getting it a little darker, and then I'll take a little yellow to give it just a little more green. I mean, it kind of brings it back and forth, so that gives you all these different tones in your tree leaves and not just one solid color. It's very important to switch those tones up. Slightly alter them. Makes your painting look more natural. So just add a little bit of that white to it. Notice it's going to make kind of a lighter brown right there where I added that white. Very strong. That white's strong. The camera light makes it just a little brighter than it actually is, though. I'm just going to darken in the roof line where maybe some tin is on top of it. We'll come back and just kind of get a color up there. See what happens. Got another brush. Now that's a soft, flat brush. Looks like maybe a number 6. It can be any size. If you look at your build and say I could use the little soft one here, then grab that one. I would say probably a number 4 or 6 would be ideal. Now notice how I darken it up by adding that red. I want that side of that building, this side, to be dark because the lights on the other side would be coming from the right side of the painting. So this side would be a lot darker. Alright. Just keep putting some of those shadows in. Just keep painting away like you're just painting a house. That's basically what we're doing. It's a lot funner than this is a lot funner than painting a wall in a house. Alright, just a little red of that. But notice how that red is making that brown just a real pretty color. It's real warm. And I'm just kind of adding. See, notice all the variation of light and dark in that red. That's what you want. You want to get that. It just makes all this light bounce around and gives a real natural look to the build. Instead of some beginners or some painters will overdo that. They'll just use one solid color, and you need that color variation to make things look natural. And it just looks so unique in your paintings when you learn to do that. Yeah, I've been thinking of the live videos, so remember, if you would like to see those and tune in, just drop me a line, maybe in the comments, and let me know when you would be online, what would be a good time, and for you, by your time zone, and maybe I can figure something out. I'm in the Eastern time zone, and see where we can go with that. Add a little more white and yellow. The yellow will warm that color up, and look, it just gives a highlight to that roof. Just like a tin roof, we're trying to capture that color. Weathered. I think that's one of the prettiest things, is just to see an old building with that rusty roof, or got that patina on the top of it. That tin or copper or whatever roof they may have on them. Notice how I got some of that dark it picks up, makes it look like the sheets of tin on top of the roof. Now it's starting to look better. Once you get that white took care of, it starts looking a lot better. And if you need to wipe your brush off in between, you can do that. Now I've added some of the white in there. It'll make it a little pale color, but it'll really super brighten it up quick. But you have to be very sparingly with white, or you'll destroy the luster of the color, I guess you would say. White is a good thing to have, but can destroy these greens very, So if you need a kind of a washed out green or something, that you do, a lot of times you'll see it. So, but if you're wanting that more of the rich luster like the yellow and the green things, then try not to add too much of that white because it will just flatten it out. And I'm just tapping using the tip of that brush. You'll notice I'm keeping a lot of the dark underneath because of the shadows and things. If you over apply this, it just kind of turns into a jumbled up bunch of hedges in the back, which I guess sometimes may not be that bad, but in this case we want it to have a little bit of form. You lose your form. So and I've added just a little more white. I just keep varying those colors. I can't say that enough. So if you have primaries, or you starting out, you grab some primaries and just mix like yellow and red together, the primary red, and watch, especially the Lucas color, but they will get very intense oranges and things. You wouldn't even think it would come from the magenta because it looks real rosy color, but it turns into a real strong orange. Now I'm doing the same thing. I'm just adding shapes for bushes and leaves and grass and just all kinds of just wild types of plants growing. Now I've added a lot of white to that with that color where I'm putting a little more yellow in, but before I added a lot of white to it to make that color just really pop, make it stand out. And look, see how I'm just tapping, but it pulling. I have a lot of paint loaded into the tip of that brush. Now I've got my other brush going back to the filbert there. As you notice, I've changed. And I'm putting in some of the dark, bringing things closer. I'm darkening things up, so I got some dark grass right in there at the edge of this. So what we're going to do is put some put a little pond in right here. So I'm just adding some of that dingy green color, I call it. Water's a little darker over there. Just old pond water. Cattle's got to have somewhere to drink. But just be careful not to bring that color down too fast. Do it slowly. See how I'm just painting that in? Added just a little bit of water to my paintbrush, which you need to add just medium if it's, again, if you're not using water mixable. Darken up a few spots. Just trying to get the right tone up in those dark shadows. And notice how I picked up some of that white underneath and it brought it right up into that. All the things that grow out there in nature. All right. But notice I'm keeping it kind of level, so I'm not just going straight up and down. I'm going from left to right with it. Brighten it up just a little. And this is all personal taste, so you get it. If it's just a little too bright, tone it down a little bit with some of the green. If it's too green, add just a little bit of brown into it. But if it gets too dark, add a little more white. You have to balance those colors. That's how you learn to mix. Adding some more of the white into it to get those light hitting those pieces of moss and things. Maybe some little flowers out there. Good place for a turtle to live. Would caught a few of those in my time. They grow big in ponds like that. So I decided to go back and take care of some of those trees back there. Just add just a little bit of foliage to them to give them a little bit of green life. So they're not back there without any leaves on. And that little flat brush has just been wonderful in this painting, and you'll find brushes you just really enjoy painting with over time. It's ones you want to hang on to. what I'm doing is just kind of toning down some of those that I just made some of those bushes, right, or those tree limbs. When I cover them up, I'm going to paint some of them back in, but it was just a little too bright for my taste. So what I wanted to do is come back and try that again. Got my little brush back out. I'm doing the fold with them, a little flat, stiff bristle brush. Go right at the edge of that building to help set it down into the ground. Just adding some of the dark green in there to bring up some of those shadows. Like I said, there would just be all kinds of little shadows and things in there, and it would just have all kinds of little darks and lights and things, green shades, and just a multitude of colors that, and that's what would really be in it. So I'm just trying to add as many as I can without overdoing. Still, like I was saying about the balance, trying to keep the balance. I think we'll call this one finished.